Hello, my name is Jack Casey and today I'll be interviewing my local sporting hero, Stephen Poacher. Hello Stephen.
Jack, how are you?
I'm good.
Good man.
I'd just like to say thank you for agreeing to do this interview with me, and today I'd just like to ask you a few questions about your childhood. Is that okay with
Not
you?
a problem, Jack, yeah.
So first of all, I'd just like to ask, where did you grow up and what was your childhood like?
Well, where I grew up, born in Ballyholland. I lived in Ballyholland for about 10 years. And then we moved to Drumcastle Villas, a place that you would know as well. Thanks to your family, we're from there. So we spent the majority probably of my teens in Drumcastle, and I suppose it was good. It was enjoyable. A lot of good friends. We would have probably not had the same level of technology as you guys have now. So we spent most of our childhood outside, and doing a lot of running about and carrying on and playing a lot of football, and spent a lot of time actually in the Sacred Heart before the fence went up around it. So we would have spent a lot of time playing football up in the fields in the Sacred Heart and that. So it was an enjoyable childhood, yeah.
What sports did you play when you were younger?
Played everything, Jack. Played everything I could. I was a member of Newry Tennis Club. I was a member of Warrenpoint Golf Club. I was a member of the Newry Shamrocks Running Club. Clog, pitch and putt. Soccer with my dad. Gaelic with the Mitchells. So played all sports. And embraced all sports. And I think that's probably something that's important for young people now too.
Was it different playing Gaelic and soccer back then rather than now? Is there more pressure on people to play Gaelic now, do you think? Or
I think sometimes we probably put we try and get kids to specialise too early now, and specialise in one sport. I think that the fact that I would have played a wild volume of sports, suppose people might slag me and say jack of all trades, master of none. But no, I think it opened a whole array of skills and new skills and new qualities, and even swimming. For example, swimming's a life skill now, and I even look at school now in gymnastics. We probably didn't realise we were getting a lot of our gymnastic skills through. So it might sound a little bit silly, but climbing ditches, climbing trees, jumping over fences. Young people don't do that anymore. So we were developing our gross core motor skills back then in ways we didn't even realise.
Yeah. Since I know you were a coach of the Carlo, I was going to ask, what was your most memorable experience with the GA? Like, what was your most
in the GA?
Yeah.
Geez, with just Carlo or just in general?
Just in general.
Geez, we've had a lot of memorable experiences in the GA. Like, I suppose I started coaching GA when I was 19 in Manchester at university. The Gaelic team had no manager, had no coach, didn't really have much at that stage. But we got together, a group of lads, and we started our own university team. We played in the British University Championships actually, and some great memories from university as well, coaching at 19, 20 years of age, and then obviously I would have coached a lot of underage teams at the Mitchells as well, and then obviously I started teaching St Clumans. Some great memories with Carlo, of course, as well, and particularly the games against Dublin and Monaghan and Tyrone, and games that they were great, fantastic games, and live in Sky, and it was great for the heat. But I suppose my one most memorable moment in GA has to be winning an All-Ireland title with St Clement's Kilkeel, the smallest vocational school ever to do so, and winning an Ulster title in Clonus against St Paul's Bestbrook. Those were two of my standout moments for sure.
And you're saying you were coaching since you were 19. Who was probably one of the toughest teams or players you've ever came across?
Well, I suppose it would be remiss of me not to say Dublin. Dublin were a fantastic, probably the best coach team I've ever seen, I've ever come across. Athletically, in the shape of their lives, never seen a team as well conditioned like it. Probably closely followed by the Tyrones and the Monaghans as well. They were there, but Dublin for me they're just on a different planet this last 5 or 6 years.
Who would have been the best player you would have coached or played with when you were growing up?
Yeah, well, I suppose I've been fortunate to coach some really good footballers, really good players, and I suppose more recently players spring to mind like Brendan Murphy and Paul Broderick and Sean Gannon and these guys with Carlo, who are fantastic players. But I suppose over the years I've been very fortunate and down as well to have coached some brilliant footballers and some brilliant young players. I suppose my time with Mayo Bridge, obviously coaching Benny, was special as well. Benny Coulter, one of the best footballers ever coached and probably one of the best players ever played for Down. And one thing you would also have got at Benny was tremendous respect, but I think technically and just from a footballing perspective, like probably one of the best players I ever coached was Martin Clark. When Martin came back from Australia the first time in 2010, I was manager of Enrique at the time, which was his club, and I'd never seen anyone who could pass a ball like it or who had vision to pick a pass out, and he was actually just a joy to watch.
And who would have been your local sporting hero growing up, do you think?
Local sporting hero.
Yeah, or just the sporting hero in general.
Yeah, well, listen, there's probably no disguising the fact that when I was probably running around at your age, down we're winning All Irelands, you know, and you had a lot of iconic figures and a lot of people that you looked up to and respected, you know. And I used to love Ross Carr playing football because he hit frees of the ground, and I used to enjoy hitting frees of the ground, but nowhere near as good as him. But I really enjoyed watching Ross playing football, and I suppose one of my favourite GA players outside of Down was Trevor Giles. I always had great admiration for Trevor Giles, centre half forward for me in the 90s. So, but yeah, we had a lot of local heroes we could have looked up to, particularly in the GA circles, you know, and even soccer back then as well. There was probably a higher profile of Newry were playing at a high level more consistently, you know, and there was a lot of great footballers, soccer players as well in the town, you know, that you looked up to as well. And actually, Chris Coffey, believe it or not, when I was at school, had just signed the books for Arsenal, you know, and we were always in awe of that as well, you know, because Chris's father taught us. So there's a lot of local sporting heroes, and Newry has produced some fine footballers in the past.
Do you have any future aspirations with the GAA, do you think?
Future aspirations in the GAA. Well, I'm currently kept busy anyway.
Yeah.
I'm coaching Down Minors at the minute. I'm managing Bryans for seniors as well. So, listen, it's probably just a matter of trying to maximise what you can out of the group of players you have with you, you know. And Bryansford are a club probably in the last number of years that they probably perceive themselves as having underachieved, you know, and they're historically and traditionally they're one of the top 3 or 4 clubs in the county. So big expectations in the club. With the county minors, we haven't had a success in Ulster, Jack, since 1989. We haven't had an Ulster title landing down since 1989, the Down minor team of 99. So the team in 2005 won an All Ireland, but they didn't win Ulster. They came through the back door. So obviously our long-term goal there would obviously be try and, you know, gain some provincial success with the current county minors, but it's going to take a lot of hard work and you know, a lot of good coaching and a lot of dedication from the players, because we're away to Donegal in the first round of the championship, so we'll probably look no further than that from the short-term perspective. But
would you have any advice to give to young players who want to become coaches further on down the line?
Yeah, well, I think the greatest resource we have as coaches is each other.
Yeah.
I've always said that. You never stop learning, Jack. You never stop learning. I'm a huge advocate of coach education. I do a lot of coach education workshops around the country. You know, I was actually down in Meath last weekend, delivering at the Meath GA coaching conference, and I was chatting to a couple of coaches about this, and we were talking about sharing ideas. And I think in the GA, you know, sometimes we have a cover the homework type policy where, you know, we don't like to share ideas with each other, but the greatest resource we've always had is each other as coaches, not a textbook or a notebook. And I would just say to young people, if they're looking to get into coaching, is go and branch out and reach out and network with coaches and ask coaches, can they go and see a session, and never stop learning. You know, I gave you an example myself. A couple of years ago, I made contact with a guy called Bernard Jackman, a former Ireland Rugby international, and I asked him could I go and shadow him for a few days at Newport Dragons in Wales. They were a professional rugby club, and you know, I went over and for 4 or 5 days I shadowed Bernard and just got to experience what it was like in a professional environment, and you know, learned an awful lot off him, you know, and then obviously went in with him to Ravenhill when they played Ulster, and just being involved in the back room that evening and just seeing what was going on. Like, you know, I probably learnt more in those couple of days than I did in a couple of months reading manuals or reading internet websites, you know. So just the best advice I can give is to never stop learning, and probably more importantly than that is to be yourself.
Thank you for taking the time out of your evening to let me interview you, and I really find your story very interesting.
Not a problem, Jack.